I have Mike Hornan joining me on this episode to go through a really interesting session on Voltaire. And Mike's been doing a lot of things in the Voltaire governance side of things, everything from trying to break SanchoNet to providing these valuable infographics that really explain what's going on in the governance space. So, Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Now, I'd love to get like a really quick overview of what you've been doing lately in the governance side of things, because I've seen these sessions that you've had with all these other volunteers about trying to break SanchoNet. So I'd like to understand and explain to the viewers what on earth SanchoNet is and why you're trying to break it.
So SanchoNet is basically, it's another fork of the chain. So yeah, it's a testnet where we test the governance features that's coming on Cardano, and we're trying to break it because obviously it's a testnet, and we would like to break it if possible to fix possible bugs that could occur. Maybe if we manage to find those bugs. So yeah, there's me and there's a couple of others SPOs who are actually actively working on well, not only breaking things, but testing those features and learn from them. So it's pretty much what we do.
Yeah, but from what I understand, you guys haven't been able to break it by trying to spam the network or anything yet. So, which is a good thing. Now,
Yes.
From what I understand, these things in SanchoNet, this fork, this testnet version, they'll be merged into the mainnet of Cardano. Is that correct?
Yes. We're going to be able to use those features after the Chang Hardfork. So yeah, the governance is going to be officially then on the mainnet. So we'll be able to vote and to modify the main chain, just as if we were owning the Genesis keys.
Whoa.
Kind of.
Okay. It's definitely a big era for Cardano, having that Chang hard fork and bringing governance all on chain and giving it to hands essentially of the community. Now, I've done a lot of previous podcast episodes talking about the SIP 1694, the Constitution, all the work around that. So I highly encourage anyone else that's watching at the moment to check out those previous interviews that I did. Links in the show notes as well. But we talked through. You posted a lot of content about these parameters as well, and the recent one with this giant infographic of all these parameters. I found it so hard to consume because there is just so much information there. Can you take us through some highlights of this? And there must be something around here that the audience should be aware of.
Yes, I could. I could actually do that. Would you want me to share my screen with the graphic, maybe?
Yeah, please do. I've got it here as well, but probably best if you steer.
No, wait. Yeah. You might want to maybe share it if you want to.
One second.
We could actually go through. So basically, these are the on the infographic. There's all the protocol parameters that are related to governance. Pretty much, they're all there, all of them, and some of them might be confusing.
Yeah. I seriously looked at this and went, okay, I have no idea where to start with this. There literally is so much here. Let me just scroll down so everyone else can see it here. So it goes from like all these parameters that I don't even know. Deposit, what am I depositing now? Governance action lifetime. Some of these ones at the top, like thresholds, inactivity, dRep, voting threat, that they kind of make sense. And you really have to go into the detail of this infographic to really see what's going on. Let me just zoom back in, sorry. So if you zoom in really far, you can actually see these details and everything that's going on there. But still, it's so much to consume.
That's the old map of it. But normally I made them to be sure to be so it could be used as slides presentations for people who would like to teach others about it. about those parameters. So basically, they're all the governance parameters about governance on Cardano. And I started with the thresholds because obviously it was something that needed to be understood by the community. Because the voting mechanism, if there's something you can, or I think that people should remember from that graphic, would be a very important rule that it is also a confusing one, and it is that voting no, or not voting no, I'm sorry, voting abstain is not the same thing as abstaining from voting, and this is very
Mm,
confusing
yes.
because abstaining from voting acts like a no vote. It has the same weight as a no vote. But voting abstain gets your entire voting stake out of the system, and it doesn't get into the calculations of the active voting stake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's something to keep
It
in
is,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's a big discussion about the wording of this because for both you use abstain, and it's very confusing. But yeah, that's what I tried to show in specifically in the beginning of the graphic, is what exactly is calculated within the active voting stakes. So real quick on this example that I see there, you could actually have like only 5 people that has the entire voting power of dReps if they are the only dReps active, especially in the beginning. So this is why we need the bootstrap phase, because or else you would have like a very few amount of dReps controlling the entire system on the dRep side, of course.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by bootstrapping phase?
The bootstrapping phase. Oh, okay. Yeah, the bootstrapping phase is the phase that we're going to be in as soon as we get into the Chang Hardfork or the beginning of Voltaire. We're going to have an interim constitutional committee, and it's just like a it's a phase, right? It's a small phase where we would let people have enough time to register as a dRep, so the system
Gotcha.
gets
Okay.
in place, right?
Yeah.
Because if we allow people to ratify or enact governance action on chain right away, it could be something dangerous for the chain.
Ah,
And
understood. Understood. So
yes,
the really active dReps get in as soon as the Chang fork happens, changes all the parameters to suit them, and then no one else can become a dRep or whatever. And
oh, well, no, not exactly. Everyone can be
okay,
a dRep. It's just that it's going to be a phase to allow people to register, so we have enough before we allow them to, in a way, participate actively into the
okay,
governance. That's pretty much what it is. Just an overview of it. It shows also the inactivity, what happens when you vote abstain with the little the little characters there that jumps into the abstain side, and I'm trying not to go too deep into it, but it's everything is well explained in the text as well.
if anyone does have time to and wants to go deep into all of this, it's all on Mike's website on AblePool. Let me just share this tab here. You can download each one of the parts as a separate area, so you can actually see what each one is. So let me just zoom into this one here. So this one, I'll just zoom out again, but then it breaks it down into individual parts so that you can go through them without being overwhelmed by the entirety of this thing here, which is the scary part.
It's not too bad actually when you read it. It's just that if people can understand at least, I'd say the three big governance bodies, right? Because and the way those voting mechanism works, or what exactly is a governance action, and what you can vote on, I believe it's going to be probably mission accomplished for me if people can understand at least this part, because it looks like it's a lot, and it is, as a matter of fact. But right, I mean,
Break it
we're
down, it
known
should be
to.
easy enough, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So yeah, these are all. It's important to mention also that these are all the governance protocol parameter. So especially on this one, you can see the dRep voting thresholds, right? This is everything that a dRep can vote on. So dReps, they mainly can vote on everything. So they are in my opinion, they are the ones that are really in power after Voltaire. We're going to have a constitutional committee, but if they don't do their job properly, which is to vote specifically and only on the constitutionality of a governance action and nothing else. So we're going to have a constitution, and they got to make sure that the governance action that has been submitted respect that constitution. And if it does, they don't have no other say than saying yes, it does goes according to the constitution. So they're going to vote yes, even if they have an opinion against the said governance action. That's the dRep, the delegated representative role, to vote on that. So pretty much the representative of the community. And to be a dRep, everyone can be a dRep as well, right? You can just register yourself as a dRep and you can vote on your own behalf. You can also be private dRep. Yeah, and you can delegate to a dRep if you don't want to get involved, or there's somebody that you know that you like, or who that you believe who would vote according to your way of thinking. So these are all the protocol parameters that I'm sorry, the governance actions that dRep can vote on.
And I think that being able to delegate to a dRep is going to be very important for a lot of the Cardano community, especially those that don't have the technical expertise or can't keep up with everything that's happening in the Cardano ecosystem. It moves so fast. I struggle to keep up. So being able to delegate to a dRep, I think, is crucial for this whole governance side of things. I'd love to get a good understanding of how that dRep process works. I've used SanchoNet tools to try and play around with it and register as a dRep myself, but I haven't played around with the other side of actually delegating to a dRep. So I'd love to get an explanation of what that kind of experience is going to be like for users and what they need to do.
Sure. So as a user, you have four options, exactly four options about dReps. You can either delegate to a dRep, you can be a dRep yourself, or you can delegate to two specific predefined dRep that we have, which is called the abstain dRep and the no confidence dRep. So these are like automated dReps. So the automated abstain will just basically vote abstain on everything, and your voting power won't be calculated into the governance mechanism. And the no confidence is the automated dRep that if you delegate to that dRep, it's going to vote no on everything, but yes on the governance action motion of no confidence that has been specifically made to to throw the constitutional committee out. So if you're very unsatisfied with the job, you can delegate to that. So that's the four options that you have. You can register yourself as a dRep if you want to actively vote, or you could just delegate to, like I said, to somebody that you know. There's no saturation as well, so a dRep could get a lot of voting power. So this is also something to consider. So yeah, those are all the options that you have as a user.
Wow, that's interesting. So no top level saturation point for a dRep. So one dRep could control all of Cardano, possibly, like in theory.
On the dRep side, because there's many layers of security, of course, because we can't technically just allow dReps to control everything, because it would be catastrophic. And I can tell because I've been temporarily a dictator on SanchoNet, but
yeah, okay.
It is just something that there's no way I can reproduce that on mainnet, because on testnet we have something called the faucet, right? And we're pretty much asking money from the system, and I kind of tricked the faucet into giving me more money than I shouldn't have.
Okay.
So don't worry, this cannot happen on mainnet. But yes, again, it's the delegators who decide. It's the user who decides. Would I delegate to somebody that already has like too much power? I don't think so, right? Because you like those stakes to be spread equally as much as possible, as long as you delegate to somebody that's competent enough to understand those parameters. So I think it's going to be a very interesting topic, right?
Yeah, deeply so. It's who do you delegate to, and those dReps. I'm assuming I don't know, the whole process just seems so time consuming to me. Like I see dReps like having to post what they're going to be voting for, how they're voting, trying to get people aligned with them to get voting power. It's just a really big it's a full-time job, to do this.
Yes.
You have to research what's being voted on. You have to come to the right decision from your own opinion, from your own research, to do all this. How is this going to be sustainable? I know from previous interviews that there was talk about compensation for users for dReps, and even maybe compensation for voters as well. Like, how is this going to be sustainable for people in the ecosystem?
As it is right now, there's no compensation. There's nothing set on the protocol parameter for that. But of course, they could get paid if they commonly decide to do a treasury withdrawal, for example, because it's a governance action. And again, the community is going to vote on that. So, for example, if I'm a dRep and I would like to get paid as much as other dReps, hypothetically, we could get together and submit a governance action treasury withdrawal to get paid. But again, it's just hypothetical. But because right now, inside the governance system, there's nothing. There's no such thing as a salary or something that's related to getting paid for doing that, except the treasury withdrawal governance action.
dReps is going to be a hard job. It's one thing, like trying to get the community and have that incentive of participation, getting people off their butts and actually registering wallets and delegating to dReps. That's going to be a hard ask as it is, because I know the amount of people that are participating in governance at the moment with Project Catalyst is only a small portion of the community, small portion of the ADA holders. To get more people to participate, it's going to be a hard task in itself. But then the dRep side of things, I just find it so hard posting your opinions and then dealing with the community behind it. It's like, oh, I think parameters should be set like this because it's better for single state pool operators. And then you get all this massive debate and hate and everything around it. So it's a hard job.
It's not only hate. I'm a positive guy, right? I mean, I like constructive debates, but it's a whole. We're bringing a whole geopolitical thing there, right? About governance, and I don't want to get I don't want to make it worse, but you could also have, and I hope you will have, multisig dReps. So organizational groups that represent a single dRep entity that's going to be a strong thing, because you push back the possibility of corruption as well, being an organizational dRep, or a group of people being a dRep. So you could have like all kinds of people that has different expertise on those protocol parameters that works together as a single entity that people can vote on. So that's pretty strong, in my opinion. And yeah, it is available right now on testnet, but we cannot use that multisig dRep to vote because those features are not there yet. But I really hope it's coming. So yeah, right now on testnet you can be a multisig dRep, but you cannot do anything else than delegate to it. So we're getting there.
Cool. Interesting. I did see rumors of that, or hints of that possibility through a couple of organizations. I think Anastasia Labs was one of them that mentioned, would it be feasible? Would people delegate to a dRep that was represented by a company organization? So I think that's a really interesting take. And a really good approach. It'd be interesting to see who registers as dReps, what companies will register as dReps if that was made possible, and how many people would support them as well, especially some of these fantastic dev companies out there that are building some amazing things in the Cardano ecosystem. So fingers crossed we do get multi-sig dRep voting and all that in place. Yes. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. What about some of these other parameters down here? Is there anything else that we need to go through? Any other highlights of this chart, this massive chart?
Sure. So again, I think the most important part would be the probably the 6 first, because it mainly speaks about the threshold and the way you can vote depending on what entity you are. So again, there's 3 governance bodies on the governance system, which are the stake pool operators that everyone knows. There's the dReps, the delegated representative, who represents you for the governance system. And there's the constitutional committee. That's at the bottom right there, yes. And these guys are supposed to be there to make sure that the governance action that you do respect the constitution. And they all have the same or similar voting mechanism. For example, the Constitutional Committee, if you can just zoom in there, I don't know if you see it. Constitutional Committee min size, and it says threshold as well. So they have a specific parameter that's very interesting. It's called the committee min size. So we cannot have right now, we don't have a maximum amount of constitutional committee, but we do have a minimum. So what it means is that you can have, hypothetically again, 100 constitutional committee members. And I just hope that's not going to happen, but it's possible. So there's no maximum, but there is a minimum. And it is an updatable protocol parameter that people can vote on as well. So you want to change that number, you can submit a governance action to change that number. And if the amount of constitutional committee members goes under that number, then they will all act as if they voted no on everything. So unless they get back to that number. So for example, the example that I showed here, we had the value of committee minimum size of 7. So we can't go under 7 committee members. And if that ever happens, well, in the little drawing that I did, somebody kicks in the face and the other guy gets, it's just a visual thing. I got from 8 members down to 2 members because for any reason you can resign. If somebody resign, if they get thrown out by a governance action, or if their term limit, because they have a term limit, if their term limits gets to expiration, if I can say it like that, and the number goes under 7, then as you can see, like in the graphic, the system will act as if they voted no on everything until the situation gets back to normal, if I can call it like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's another parameter that we have as well.
It's kind of like a safety measure that's put in place to make sure that there's enough committee members that it was always active and working in the ecosystem. You also mentioned a term limit there. What's the term limit at the moment?
On SanchoNet, the term limit, I think it's 200 epochs. But 200 epochs on testnet right now, one epoch is 1 day, and it's not like
Oh,
the mainnet, right? So uh, it could be 73. 73 epochs on mainnet is similar to a full year of term limit. And the term limit, it specifically means like the term length of the constitutional committee per member, because you have to set that term limit per member for each one of them. It could be different. Some of them could have a 3 months term limit, and some of them could have 6 months, for example, to make things like rolling. And we're going to have elections as well. It's going to be a very interesting topic as well.
oh boy.
It's a
It's going to be
geopolitic. I like it. I like those things.
yeah, sure,
There's going to be a lot of drama, of course, but
sure. It's going to be a very dicey year for Cardano. I know from other ecosystems when they introduced governance, it made things very, very difficult for them. So we're going through that point at the moment, and it is really important that we do get through this governance side of things, and Cardano
yes.
goes into the hands of the community. We control what happens and forge the direction of the Cardano blockchain, especially with the SEC looking to crack down on all these various blockchains and label them as potential securities. So having a fully decentralized ecosystem where no one controls it, no one's the single entity that is contributing to the chain itself. Is key. So we've got to get to that phase, and hopefully it does happen very soon. When is the date for the Chang hard fork? Is there one set yet?
I don't have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, they were expecting Q3, Q4, maybe, but again, it's just hypothetical at this point, because there's a lot to do. Again, like I told you, there's some features that are not available yet, but they're working very hard on it, and it's important to also get our intake from our testing. So sorry, if everyone wants to try it as well, I highly suggest that you do. And it's going to be it's going to allow people to understand maybe more about the way it works. There's some very interesting features available, right? I mean, I do work from the CLI, but it's a little more technical than what people are used to. But there's features available if they use the SanchoGov.tool website, and they can create their own wallet, like the wallet that you used to, Lace, NewFi. There's Eternal as well. You can play with those features right now on SanchoNet, and you can just grab fake money from the faucet and play with it as a dRep, and create governance actions or vote on them or try to change the chain, because when it's going to be on mainnet, we will control everything, every single parameters, and there's a lot. It could be the minimum fees, the gas fees, the oh my god, they're all there, all of them. We can change the thresholds, we can change the minimum committee size, we can, because the ones that you see on this graphic, they're only the ones specific to governance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, this is one of many other infographics that I will do. This one is specifically for the governance protocol parameter group, but there's 3 more groups. There's the sorry. Yeah, there's there's also the networking group, the
Yeah.
economic group, and the technical group.
Right. Okay.
And we had some discussion amongst the community about specific parameters from the technical group, like the key parameter, for example, right? And the number of pools. I'm not going to get too much into that, but there's other groups that I need to uh, work on and
Okay.
make an infographic for that.
It does make sense to have all those different groups. Actually, it's kind of different specializations, so it makes perfect sense to me. So I got two more things to ask here. So, firstly, what's happening in the next working group that you guys are doing to try and break these parameters? I know that you guys are going to get together again and test out SanchoNet and see what you guys can break. What are you guys going to break? Can we participate in that? Can we help you guys break things?
Well, those who would like to participate to that can send me a DM on Twitter. But there's some requirement, if I could say it like that. You have to be used. You have to be used to working from the terminal, because this is not something you can do with a non-custodial wallet like Lace, for example. What we did try to do, if I don't get too much technical, is we tried to spam the chain with governance actions because there is.
You did a lot of spamming.
Yeah, so when you submit a governance action, there's a deposit. Obviously, it's to hold people from doing that, pretty much, right? So if you have the right amount, you can hold people from spamming too much the chain, because it's going to be expensive in a way. But on SanchoNet, it was only 1,000 fake ADA, and it's fake ADA. And since I managed to get above a couple of millions on SanchoNet, I figured we could try to do this.
Yep.
And that's what we did. But the thing is, again, I just don't want to get too much technical. We fill the maximum possible transaction size, each one of us on our respective node, and we tried to spam the chain with governance action. And we did the same. We used script to vote on those governance actions with different credentials, but the scale wasn't high enough.
Yep.
Which is why I said that we failed miserably, because instead of filling up the maximum transaction size, we should have made different credentials and fill up the memory pool as much as we could. And even that would have probably not been enough because of the way Cardano was made, which is, I'm getting too technical. But anyway.
It's okay.
So
it's okay.
The second time we're going to do that, we're going to try to do that, but simultaneously with different credentials. But I would hope for millions of credentials. So we're pretty much going to run the thing for hours and vote on those governance action with millions credentials, and make sure that we trigger as much calculation as possible to try to glitch something, right? So I see myself as those video game testers where you just like you try a car in the racetrack and you just smash the walls and try to see if you can go through, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty much what we're trying to do with SanchoNet.
Brilliant. Okay. So I would encourage any other stake pool operator that's been working in the ecosystem for a while, very comfortable with the command line interface, can write their own transactions, to reach out possibly and play around with what you guys are doing in the next one. So I'm assuming you've scripted this to create the credentials and write the transactions, etc. So yeah, okay. So a couple more people helping out there and lending some resources, I think, could get you guys those millions of transactions more easily and make it more fun, I think.
So it is fun.
That's the whole
really
point of it. Lastly, for those that aren't technical, how can they get more involved with this governance phase and educate themselves with what's happening in the Voltaire era?
I would suggest to go on the SanchoGov.tool's website. Honestly, especially if you're a beginner and you just want to, get used to it. I don't know if you could share it. It is SanchoGov.tools. It is a great tool, especially for beginners. There's a documentation tab as well, fact, FAQ tab, and it is very well made. It is yeah. So you have to create a wallet just like the wallets you're used to, and if you want to get the right one, yeah, that's right. But you have to download a specific wallet for the testnet. But again, you just have to go into the FAQ tab, and everything's very well explained. And you can connect the wallet, get fake data, and test those features. You can be a dRep. You can. I think they implemented the governance action submission part. So yeah, you just get there. You go into getting started, and from there you can get a compatible wallet, and those are all the wallets that you can get to test those features. So there's NuFi, Yoroi, Lace. Lace works very great, right? I really love Lace for that, and that's it.
Very cool. Yes, and we can get the SanchoNet, the test ADA here. That's great. Simple tutorial here on how to connect your wallet as well. So once you're up and running, you can connect your wallet, register as a dRep, and play around with the platform. So really cool. I'll put all those links and references in the show notes for everyone so they can get to the SanchoGov.tool's website, very easy to get to, and your contact details as well, so that if anyone wants to reach out and play around with SanchoNet on a more technical level, they can do so as well. Oh, and also I'll put a link to your stake pool there as well. So, it's always nice to have a few more delegates to your stake pool to try and support all this great work that you're doing in the Cardano ecosystem too.
Yeah, that would be appreciated.
Just search for Able.
I don't sell my pool too much. It's Able, ABLE, Able pool, right?
Yep. Again, links to all that in the show notes as well. But Mike, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and taking me through everything that you've been doing on the SanchoNet side of things and Voltaire era for Cardano.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it.